I'm Amanda, and this is Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Welcome to today's show. We have Abby of Abby Maed. If you don't already know, she's an Art Gallery Sewcialite. Yay, another one. She also is part of the Nine Patch Quilt Collective. So she's one of the designers of the sweater weather sampler. We talked with Rachel about it. And I'm just so excited to have her on the show. So let's get into it. Calling all mega fans, we have merch. That's right, merchandise that you can wear to show your support of the show. If you head to nygqs.printify, printify.me, you can shop merch. There are t-shirts, sweatshirts, a tote bag, mug, sticker, you name it. I'm working on getting more items loaded. So if you have suggestions or something that you'd love to see, you can message me at any time and let me know. But in the meantime, go ahead and check out what I do have and maybe buy a little something for yourself or a friend that you know who loves the show. It would really help me out and get the word out there that we exist and also show your support. Thanks. Speaking of support, are you a patron yet? When you head over to patreon.com and sign up, you get a Not Your Granny's Quilt Show logo sticker sent right to your door. So head on over to patreon.com/ Not Your Granny's Quilt Show today. Welcome to the show, Abby. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I have been on my quest for getting all the art gallery socialites on the show. So I'm so glad that you're here. I I talk about art gallery probably every single episode. Um, I am obsessed with their fabrics, and so it's like really exciting to me to get to chat with all of you who got in there as socialites and were able to be part of such a cool campaign. But
I mean, Art Gallery has I love their fabric. It's just so nice to work with. It's so soft and so I like how it doesn't fray. But yeah, I was thrilled to be able to do that. So
yeah,
it's awesome to be here.
that's amazing. Well, we'll get there and talk more about it, but I want to go back to your beginning. So I saw that you have been quilting basically your whole life, or sewing at least, and you're a third generation
Yeah.
quilter.
Yeah. So my grandma, it was a really big quilter. And when I was little, like she was so sweet about letting me, quote unquote, help her, which
Yeah.
of course, like a toddler is not helpful really at all. But, she would let me sit on her lap though. And like it was my job to like guide the fabric through the machine. And then anytime it was the end of a seam, I got to snip it. And she had these cool little snippers, with the little spring back.
Hmm.
And I just thought that was the coolest job ever. So yeah, that's where I got started. And then, as I got older, she obviously let me do more than just snip the threads. and
Yeah.
and so yeah, we worked on when I was little, it was mostly just helping her on her projects. But then as I got older, like she had more things that I could get involved with. And so like we made, I don't know if you know what a quillo is. It's like you take a whole length of fabric,
Okay.
like I don't know how long it is, like 70 some inches. And then you choose a backing fabric and you basically just quilt them together and then add a pocket on the outside so then it can fold up inside of itself and
Oh,
be like a
okay.
quilt or a pillow.
Okay.
So it's basically a whole cloth quilt. But
Okay.
so she helped me like learn how to do those and I made some for my friends in high school and stuff
Oh,
like that.
cool.
So yeah, it was really fun. And it was just so cool to learn it. Like when you're a kid, I just think that I don't know, you don't think as hard about what it takes to learn something new. It just kind of comes
Yeah.
naturally. So I was just really grateful that I like felt comfortable around sewing machines before I thought about how hard it could be if you weren't.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's fun. Like, I mean, I grew up around sewing machines and stuff too, but I was still terrified of them. So it took me a long time, like
Yeah.
until I was in my 30s to actually start like quilting and sewing. So I mean, I love that you've had such a long relationship with it and that you were making cool stuff for your friends. Like, I think like you said, you don't really think that hard about it when you're that young. You're just like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make this. And there's like so many
Hmm.
times where I like crocheted things for people and like made them stuff that I was like, oh yeah, totally, like no problem. But now that I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, like I
Yeah,
really put a lot of work into that thing.
I
Like,
know. Yeah, it's intimidating when you're like on the outside looking in for sure.
yeah. So then, I mean, how did you always view quilting as like something you wanted to do as a business or?
No, not at all. So honestly, when I was a kid, like I liked sewing, but mostly I didn't do quilts. I mean, I did the quillos, but then I could pick like just one fabric that I liked. But I kind of had this impression of quilting as being like all dark colors and all like really traditional looking things. So I think like going into my like college and stuff, I was kind of turned off to quilting a little bit because like mostly what I had seen was like, my grandma's taste in quilts, which I loved sewing with her, but I like didn't necessarily love like those colors and stuff. And so
Sure.
then like it wasn't until much later when I realized that there was like a whole quilting world out there of like totally different colors and fabrics and designs and stuff where I was like, oh my gosh, like I like it is possible to have a younger style or just a different style and
Yeah.
still fit into quilting. So that was like a huge light bulb moment, more so like in my probably 20s, where I was like, wait, I could do quilting.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it as a business until I don't know, like a year ago. So
Oh, okay.
that was
Oh,
much more
wow.
recent.
Yeah. Wow. So then what did you do in the meantime? Like,
So let's see. So I mean, I did stuff with my grandma until like college, and then I went to college, and right after college, I got married. And during that time, like I made a couple baby quilts and stuff here and there, but like I didn't have a sewing machine at college by any means.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like we had a tiny little first apartment, so like we didn't have space to really do that there either.
Hmm.
And then my husband got into med school. And so, like, we moved across the country to go to med school. And so it just was not on my radar at all until, like, I had my first kiddo. And then when my friends started having kids too, then I was like, oh, I know how to sew. I could make baby quilts. And wouldn't that be a sweet gift? And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what got me back into it a little bit. But then, yeah, I still like it was just very casual, I think, until a couple, gosh, it was like 2.5 years ago. I was making a baby quilt for my sister-in-law. She was going to
Hmm.
have her first baby. And I had like this little Instagram account that just like whatever I happened to be working on, which was like everything under the sun, right? Like painting, sewing, crafting, it was
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like focused at all. And so I happened to post some progress picture or whatever of this little quilt I was working on for her. And like usually my account got like no, you know, nothing happening, nobody noticing it, whatever. But then I
Sure.
posted this quilting picture and all of a sudden there's like 40 people that are like liking it and commenting on it. And I was like, what on earth is this? Like, where did this come from? And so I started like clicking and seeing who these people were, and they
Hmm.
were all quilters, and all of a sudden like it was like opening a door into like wonderland, because then like I
Yeah.
started going down the rabbit hole of like, oh my gosh, all these people are quilters, and they're like modern quilters, and look at what they're making. They're so pretty, and like the designs are so like fresh, and the colors are not like anything I've ever really seen before. And so it was just totally this like, yeah, like falling down the rabbit hole and being like, oh my gosh, there's this whole amazing quilting community here on Instagram that I had no idea about. And so um shortly after that, I like joined my very first quilt along, and I
Hmm.
was terrified, but
Yeah.
I did it. And then I did a couple quilt alongs, and and then somebody asked me to pattern test for them. And so that
Oh,
was really cool too, because then it was
yeah.
like, I don't know, it was like that's when I first started like actually making friends in the quilting area.
Yeah.
And so I started pattern testing, and then I did a bunch of pattern testing for a year. And it was so great because I just got to meet so many people and become friends with people, and build relationships and connections and stuff like that. So then but then like the more I pattern tested, the more I got to the point where I was like, okay, every pattern I'm testing, like I'm wanting to do something different with it.
Mm.
Like, oh yeah, the way you have it written is awesome, but you know it'd be really cool is if you did
Right.
this or that or the other thing, or like I wanted to do a different colorway or a different whatever. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I tested it the way it was written, but like
Sure.
I had all these ideas of like, but what if you did this? That would be
Right.
even cooler. And so then when I had an opportunity, like when I saw like the Alderwood studio, when she had her class come up for how to write patterns, I was like, yes, that is what I need. Like I've got all these ideas, but I don't have any graphic design background, like I don't know how to
Sure.
work that software.
Yeah.
So then that was like, okay, I'm gonna try this out, and mostly just because I wanted to like get my ideas on paper.
Yeah.
But then I was just kind of hooked at that point. I was like, this is so cool. And like and then like the more people that saw my designs were so encouraging and just like,
Oh, good.
this is so cool. And are you gonna sell the patterns and are you gonna whatever? And I was like, I don't know. I hadn't gotten that far, but
You're like, I don't know what
um
I'm doing.
I don't know. Yeah, like we're just figuring this out as we go.
Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, so then a year ago, I finally decided to launch my own business and just see where it went. And it's really been a great experience. And I ended up taking Elizabeth's Quilters Candies class as well, just because like I wanted to learn all the things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Why not?
yeah. So I mean, and after that, I mean, I really felt like I had a great foundation to move forward with and kind of understood because I don't know, like, I didn't have a business degree in college. I had a political
Yeah.
science degree
Oh,
and
wow. Wow.
in French. So yeah, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing running a business. And I was so grateful to like have somebody be like, okay, these are the things, like the basic things you need to do to
Yeah.
get this going.
Yeah.
So
Wow. What a ride. That's so fun.
I know, right?
And it's so great that like there's people out there, and I'm gonna say ladies because they are ladies, but
Mostly,
ladies out
yeah.
there like pushing for like us other women to like, yes, make this a business if you want to, and here's some
Mm-hmm.
resources, and here's how you can become successful with this thing that you love. And because I've talked to so many people who've done the Quilter's Candy or who've done the Alderwood Studio
Mm-hmm.
courses, and they're they're thriving. Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
flourishing, and I love to see it. So I'm so glad that you're in that group of people because it's like, look, another success story. Because let me tell
Totally.
you, your patterns are freaking gorgeous.
Oh, thank
I
you.
love like just I was scrolling through your Instagram as I've like been preparing for this and just feel like so calm and like at peace and just feel cozy looking at all of your
Yes.
photos. And like I know it's curated that way, but I just feel like everything's so cohesive and it like I love when a personality can come through. And so it's so great to see. And I'm just so excited for you because it's it's so fun when you can take something that has been like a hobby, and maybe it's not that every hobby has to become a business,
No, not at
and you
all.
don't have to monetize every craft you make just because you can, but when you can and you want to and you do and it's successful, it's like, oh, yes.
I know. Yeah. And that's just it. Like, I mean, I think that for a long time, thought that like a creative business would just be so cool. But I never thought that, like, I guess I just didn't know how to even start? So, like,
Mhm.
I was just continuing to work in and raise babies and all of that. And I was like, well, that would be cool, but I don't even know how to start a business. And I don't. So then,
Yeah.
like, when you finally have the skills to be like, okay, this is the step-by-step process you need to do to like register your business and pay taxes and, just like
Yeah.
be a legitimate entity, then I was like, okay, actually, I think I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
it's possible. So I was just so excited to try it. And then, and thankfully, I'm in a very privileged position where like, we're a one income household right now. We've got little kids and I stay home with them.
Mhm.
But like we didn't need the income from it to survive. So it was really freeing for me to be like, okay, I'm going to do this at my own pace. And I want it to be successful because I'm putting a ton of time and effort into it. But
Right.
also like it can take its time to get somewhere because like
Right.
it's not like, I'm not using it for grocery money right now.
Right.
So
There's no
I was just really
desperation
grateful
behind
for
it.
the opportunity to be able to be like, okay, we're going to try this and I'm going to put my all into it, but also like it doesn't have to be an instant career.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah. I think too, because not everybody's in that position. And so,
right.
it's so lucky and fortunate that because, same thing, like my husband and I quit our normal jobs like 2 years ago, and I am full time, working on my business with my mom and,
That's
long arming and
awesome.
making quilts for people and doing this. And my husband's back in school full time because he's a serial college student. Um,
I know what that feels like.
yeah. So you're just like, oh, you're in school again. Okay. This is fun. Um, but anyway, yeah, it's like, it's not that we didn't work hard to be able to do this, and I think,
Hmm.
some people would see that and be like, oh, you're just coming from a point of privilege. It's like, I mean, yeah, but also like, I mean, your husband went to medical school, like, oh, that's no joke. Like, that's hard
No,
work.
that's
You
no
went
joke
to
at all.
college,
It's like
like,
being a single parent for years
yeah.
and years.
Well, and
Um,
you've got your degree, and it sounds like you were working in your field
yeah,
before.
yeah.
Okay.
So all through when I graduated college, I got a job working in politics. I worked as like a policy analyst for a senator
Oh, wow.
in Madison here. So the
Okay.
state capital is here in Madison.
Yeah.
And then I worked on some campaigns, like political campaigns and stuff like that with him.
Interesting.
And then when my husband got into med school, we had to go all the way out to Oregon, which is
Okay.
nowhere near here.
Yeah, yeah. That's by
And
me.
so then I got a job at a university in Oregon doing
Okay.
like event planning and continuing education and stuff
Oh,
like
wow.
that, which was like still in my wheelhouse, I guess. Like it was actually unusual, kind of crazy how much transferred over from politics to that. And then when we
Yeah.
came back to Wisconsin, I got back into politics for a while, but then um by that time we had, a couple kiddos. I have 4 kids.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So it got to the point eventually where I was like, I can't. I mean, I was doing it all remotely, kind of like from the point that I had my first, I started working mostly remotely. And
Okay.
then it was like working less and less and more remotely as we went. And finally I was like, okay, like raising 4 kids is just all I have time for.
That's work.
And so I finally, I think the pandemic is kind of what did me in for working
Mm. Mm.
because
Same.
then like my kids weren't going to school, they were at home and we were trying to do the like Zoom, you know,
Ugh.
school and all of that. And I was like,
Yeah.
I can't. Like everybody is out there baking bread and I'm like, how do you have time for that? Like,
Who are you?
yeah, like we're just trying to survive this with like getting preschoolers and a first grader on and off Zoom calls. Like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So that was like the end of my traditional career was when the pandemic hit. And then like afterwards, it was kind of like, okay, now when they start going back to school and we have like kind of room to breathe and think about more what we want to do and not just like how to get through the pandemic, then it was
Right.
like, okay, maybe now is the time instead of jumping into some other job to like think about what I really want to do. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I just like find it so interesting. Like obviously you watch all these shows and like that kind of focus on like the behind the scenes political scene, but it's like I don't know how true it is, but it always just like fascinates me when people have like that ability to like see like work in campaigns and like see the big picture and like know what pieces need to fall into place and who to call and what to I'm just like I don't even
It's a
know.
lot. Yeah, it's super stressful. And but I do think that the great thing about working in politics is that after working in politics, like nothing seems like that big of a deal,
Right?
Like, because it's not like anything I do is not going to be on the front page of a newspaper. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Right?
You're like, well, I'm free from that stress. Woo.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly. Like it's
my
not going to be
God.
on the news tonight. So we're
Yeah.
good.
Oh man. I can't even. Ugh. That's that would be something that would keep me from it for sure. Like, I don't want what I do to show up on the newspaper. Like,
I know, right?
especially
Yeah.
when it's related to politics. It's like
I
so
know.
so many people are so black and white thinking about it that it's like there's no room for
Totally.
life or gray in
I
it.
know.
And so it's like, oh, I don't think I want to be associated with any of that.
I know. And that's just the hard part too, is like when you actually meet the real people behind it, like they're just
Right,
real people, not like
right,
normal, nice people. And like both sides honestly want what's best. And they just have like
right,
different ways of getting there. But like
right.
from the outside, it looks like a mess.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just like, wow. I just like, yeah, I have a lot of respect for people who work in politics, no matter what side you're on, because it's a lot of work and it feel you have so many people's opinions and personalities to juggle and like
Yeah.
have this like camera ready face and
Right.
personality at all times. And it's like whatever happens behind closed doors, like has to stay there kind of. And it's like,
I
oh,
know. Yeah. It's a very high pressure way to work. So I was like not sad to be like, okay, I think I'm going to be done with politics for now. And this
yeah.
is so much less stress and so much more fun. So
Hmm.
this has been great. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Same with me for teaching, like the pandemic did me in. And I mean, also therapy was like, oh, this is not healthy for me. So I had to step away. But I've see, yeah, like teaching in general, but then also teaching through a pandemic, I'm like, nothing scares me. I can do anything because
Yeah, for
that
sure.
was hard as shit.
I know.
And like being on the other side of like knowing that parents are like trying to juggle multiple children on and off Zoom at different times, having to juggle like trying to figure out their homework at home. And like, I just hated every second of that like feeling of like I can't do my job fully and it's
Mm-hmm.
the responsibilities getting put on families at home who don't have specialized degrees in this like but I do and I'm over here behind a camera like in my classroom by myself like
Yeah, I know.
yeah, ugh, it
It's
was
just
hard
so
so
hard. Well, and
and I
like if you're choosing to homeschool, it's just like a totally different thing too, because
right
then you're determining the schedule and the curriculum and the whole
right
deal. But when it's like, okay, here's your schedule, and like somehow you got to figure out how to make all these overlapping things work for like these little kids who have no computer skills whatsoever.
right
I'm like, cool, yeah, I'm sure I can get my 6-year-old to sit and watch Zoom.
right
I'm sure he'll do
ugh,
that. That'll be great.
ugh yeah
Oh,
I
but yes, I know the teachers too. I talked to a lot of the teachers in our district afterwards, and it was just awful for everybody involved. And like we were all just trying to make the best of it and
yeah
grateful when it all went back to
yeah
normal and relative normal. So
yeah
yeah,
yeah for
that's a
sure
lot.
like yeah, it did feel better having all my babies back in my classroom, but
Yeah.
it still
What grade
ultimately,
did you teach?
I taught third grade.
Oh,
Yeah. They were fun. I loved that age. It's just, it's hard.
yeah.
Like that age group is so fun and it wasn't the kids. It's like that is the age in school where they're at the end of the like primary testing for everything
Mm-hmm.
and then they start the upper elementary testing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're literally just taking constant assessments, like, and
Yeah,
not
that's
just like
great.
end of unit exams or, tests for whatever they just learned. It's like they're constantly being monitored for reading progress. They're constantly being monitored
Mm-hmm.
for math skills. They're constantly being monitored, like, and have to start practicing to take the ISATs and like
Yeah.
all the standardized testing. Like it all culminates in third grade. And my heart breaks for those kids because at 8 and 9 years old, they're like completely losing their love of learning because their curiosity is being killed by over testing.
That's awful. Yeah. I have a third
And
grader, so I
yeah,
can totally appreciate
yeah.
that.
Well, you know who to call if you need help because
Yes, right. She's just
I've been,
starting third
yeah,
grade and she so far loves it. So hopefully that'll stay.
yeah.
But
I
yeah, I just
honestly,
please hold on to that, sweetie.
yeah, it's such a fun year and they learned so much cool stuff. Like, I love the content. I
Hmm.
loved teaching the content and it's, they learn multiplication and division and
Yeah.
they start learning, more like the biology kind of stuff, like the living organism, like studies we got to do and just so
Hmm.
much fun stuff that I was like, it was really hard to walk away. But at the same time, it was like, I need some peace in my life. And quilting
100%. Yeah.
is, it's stressful, but it's a different stress. It's like you want the quality of your work to be high quality and you want it to make the person's quilt shine, or, at least for me, because
Hmm.
I'm long arming and we're creating custom quilts, but it's still that same idea. Like, I want people to like what I'm giving them. Like, I hope that they can appreciate what's going on with, what I've done to their quilt.
Yeah,
That they're not like, ew, I
totally.
hate this. I have to pick out the whole pantograph. But
Oh my gosh, I know that must be that would be so much work.
yeah, I've only had to do it. And it was my own, like, I messed it up and I had to pick it out. I've only had to do it like twice. So
Oh,
thankfully it's not been too many times. But yeah, it's a different stress, but it's also like I'd rather have that stress than like the fate of someone's well-being in my hands. Like
yeah,
like
totally.
a room full of children. I'm sorry, but
That's a lot of pressure. I know.
so
It's
anyway,
crazy. I'm so grateful for our teachers because they work so hard and they're so amazing at what they do. And I'm just so
yeah.
grateful for them. And my kids love their teachers. They're just
Oh,
like
good.
have only good things to say. So,
That's great. I love that. Okay, so back to sewing. So you've had your business for about a year, you said.
mhm.
Okay, and you've released a lot of patterns in that time.
Yeah, I think I've had six. So like every
Okay.
couple months I've
Okay.
released a pattern.
That makes sense. But yeah, I was like going through, I'm like, man, she must be doing this for a while, could just because it seems like there's so many patterns. But I mean, that makes sense if you're on the trajectory like most designers are, you're putting them
Yeah.
out every few months. And so they're lovely and
Thank
it's
you.
so fun. And so did you, did someone encourage you to apply to be a socialite, or did
No,
you?
I just I mean I had a few friends reach out and be like, "Oh, you should like have you seen this? This would be so cool." And
Mhm.
so yeah, when I saw it though, I just thought like this is awesome. I already knew that I loved working with their fabric and I just thought that they had so many beautiful fabrics and their designers are incredible. And so and I like treated art gallery fabric like this is my really good fabric and I have to save it for like
Yeah.
my best projects.
Yeah.
So like I was using less like Hobby Lobby or Joann's kind of stuff for some
Yeah.
stuff. But then I was like, but then like whenever you work with the really good stuff, you're like, oh, this
Hmm.
is really where it's at.
You're like, wait a minute, I love this.
I know. And so then it's like hard to go back to anything else because it's like, darn it, this is really nice.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I had worked with their fabric enough that I knew that I loved it and just
Mhm.
like everything about it. It was super easy to work with and so pretty. And I loved just like they're just such a family oriented company too, and a small
Mhm.
company. Like they seem so close knit with their employees and with the shops that are, they work with and everything. So like everything I had ever heard about them was just like glowing. And so I was just really excited to even like consider the possibility. And I put in an application. I thought there's no chance that I would
Sure.
get chosen, right? Because like everybody is going to put in an application for this. It sounds amazing. So yeah, I was floored when they reached out and asked to chat more about it and offered me the position. I was like, what? Like, surely, surely not me,
You're like looking around,
right?
who? Who are you talking to?
But yeah, I was completely floored and totally honored to be chosen because it's an incredible group that they have working, and a lot of them have been in this and doing this professionally a lot longer than I have.
Mm.
So um yeah, it's just been a very humbling experience, but I'm so grateful.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, like I said before, I've loved art gallery fabric for so long, and my introduction to it was through Katerina Rochella,
Oh
and
yes.
I pattern tested for her for a little while. They're like kind of starting in the pandemic, and I was like working from home, so I had a little more time that I could like
Hmm.
I could be sewing when I wasn't, lesson planning and figuring out my life. But yeah, it was great. And then I like started seeing it more and more and finding more of the designers and just being obsessed with it. So yeah, I can totally relate to that. Like, no, this is my good fabric.
That's just it. I was always like, I have to find the perfect pattern for the for
Exactly.
whatever bundle I have. And so
Right.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
been like amazing to be able to just work with it, for whatever I'm working on this year and to be able to work with it and know that like this is awesome and I can just like I don't have to save it. I can just enjoy it and I want to keep that momentum going after
Yeah.
I'm done with
Yeah.
this and everything because it's just so nice.
Right. It is. And it's like, I'm so guilty of stashing things away because I'm like, oh, I need to save this or I can't use this up or whatever. And it's like, it'll go rotten or I completely forget about it. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even like that anymore.
I
Or, it's
know.
like,
Yeah.
so I'm like kind of in this stage of like, no, I'm going to use the good stuff now.
I
So
know.
while I can appreciate it. And it's so like, I have to fight the urge to stash stuff. I'm like a squirrel. And
I know. I have to totally fight that too. I was the kid that like every time I got a sticker as a child, like I saved my stickers. I never used my stickers. And then like
yeah.
at some point in the last few years, I was going through old boxes and I found my sticker collection and I was like, darn it, I never used any of them.
Oh my
So I gave them to
gosh.
my kids and they had no problem like sticking them to all the things.
They're
But
like, yeah, stickers.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to overcome that too, where I'm like, no, okay, this is the season that I'm doing these things and I just want to enjoy
Yeah.
it while I have it and
Right.
yeah, use the good fabric, make the cool quilt now and
Hmm.
like you're not going to regret it. And that's my mom is always telling me that too. She's like, "No, don't save your good fabric. Use your good fabric."
Yeah.
She's like, "You're going to enjoy it so much more in a quilt than you are on your shelf," which is
Right.
totally
Yeah. Yeah. And it is true because it's like I've got so much stuff just stashed away and I'm like, I need to make these things. I need to quit buying new things, like new, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna quit ever, but
true.
just the idea that oh, I need to buy new fabric to make this quilt. And it's like, I probably have
I know, right? I
probably
probably
have
have
enough to make what
at
I
least
want to
like
make.
supplement what you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like I have a ton of like fat quarters that are like, OG Ruby Star when they were still cotton and steel. And like it was a fat quarterly booster from Fat Quarter Shop that, it's like I would get just sent these bundles. And so I've got all these patterns and these fat quarters and coordinating threads that came in these bundles and they're just sitting there. And it's like I've
I
slowly
know.
started to take fat quarters out and like use them for things because there's some rifle paper in there and there's like different things that like need to get used because they're just sitting in a box and it's like
Totally. I
what
know.
what good is that?
I'm
So
the worst with like Christmas fabric because I get it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty, but like I don't know what to make with it because there's so
mhm.
many good designs out there for Christmas quilts and
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. I just went so basic last year because I got the art gallery Christmas in the city naturally,
Yeah.
and I got the layered cake, the 10-inch stacker, and I got some yardage of some of the other prints that the quilt shop had, and I just like made like a half. I don't know. I was calling it like a half frame, but I guess you call it like a shadow boxing or effect. I don't know. Anyway, I just like did a strip on like the bottom and on the right side of each square.
Oh
And then
yeah.
I just sewed all them together that way. And it's like not fancy, but and then I did like a color gradient from corner to corner. So it
Ooh,
starts
that
light and
sounds really
goes
pretty.
dark.
Gradients
And
are like my favorite. So
yeah. I was like, oh, I noticed in your cover quilts and stuff, they all
I
have kind of
know,
a
yeah,
gradient, which
gradients.
I
I love
love. Yeah.
gradients.
I do too. So it's like, I think that's why it's so aesthetically pleasing to like look at all your pictures because everything's in a gradient. And I'm like, oh, I love it. My brain's so happy.
Yes,
So,
I know. Yeah, gradients are totally my thing. I really like sawtooth stars or like
mm,
variants of sawtooth stars and like I don't know. I feel like I don't know if modern traditional is actually a thing, but I feel like that's totally my thing. Is like
yeah,
I want it to be modern but like cozy modern.
yeah, which I think you have done. And when I was reading up and saw that like modern traditional phrase, I was like, that's exactly it. It's like it feels very cozy and has a traditional feel to it, but it's very modern and feels like it can be in any modern home right now. And like,
Yeah, right. Like I don't want it to feel like it belongs, 20 years ago or whatever, or only
right.
in like a certain kind of home. Like I want it to feel like this could be in your living room, whatever kind of living room you have, and it will look pretty and
Yeah.
cozy and
Yeah.
all that.
I love that. I think that's the perfect way to describe your aesthetic.
Oh, thank you.
It's warm, it's cozy, but it's also modern and fresh and is current. It's like it fits now. It's not just like, oh, that would have been cute. Yeah, like you said, 20 years ago, or which makes me want to throw up because uh 20 years ago, I was a senior in high school and our like my like, you know, senior class president and some people they're planning our 20th reunion. I'm like, I'm gonna barf. I
Right?
can't, like I
I am
cannot.
not prepared for that. I know. I'm only, let's see, am I only like a couple years away from my 20th high school? Probably. Yeah, probably. I'm 36, so I gotta
Yeah.
be close.
I'm 37, so you're only 2 years away if I'm only
Yeah.
1 year away. So yeah, it's like it's a gross feeling. But anyway, I digress. Um, okay, so you are part of the Nine Patch.
Yes.
I
Nine
always
Patch Quilt Collective.
There we go. Sorry, I don't know why I want to say Pattern Collective, but I know that's not right. So then my brain
Yeah, that
keeps
would
saying,
totally make sense too.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it's a great little group. So the common thread that we have is that we all took the Alderwood Studio course together.
Okay.
And 7 out of the 9 of us were all randomly assigned to a small group together.
Okay.
And like I feel like it shouldn't have been amazing because like we were all just like totally randomly assigned all over the country, different ages, backgrounds, experience, all of that. But we just gelled really,
Yeah.
really well. And then we had this idea, like we obviously took the course together and we're chatting and stuff during the course, but we had like an Instagram chat, I guess you would call, that we stayed on, and like we have continued to chat like every day for the past year and a half, which is awesome and crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like they have just become some of my best quilty friends, and they're just the sweetest, most like down to earth, genuine women. And so I'm just so thrilled to be in a group with them. And then, so we had this idea that we thought it'd be super cool to do a sampler quilt together. But like there's only 7 of us, and we needed 9 blocks to do a
Hmm.
sampler quilt. And so we reached out to a couple other quilters that also had taken the class that we were good friends with and knew were just awesome women
Yeah.
as well. And so now we have 9. And so that's where the Nine Patch Quilt Collective came from. But yeah, we each designed a block, and they're all like 20, I think 20 by 20 blocks. And it's going on. It will still be going on by the time this podcast airs. So if you
Yeah.
hear this and you're interested, it's a fall themed sampler quilt. It's modern, I think very modern
Mm.
blacks, but like you can clearly see how they tie into fall.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's been so much fun. We've all learned so much from doing it,
Yeah.
and it's totally free. So
Yeah.
if you just sign up, like I guess the cost is your email address because we need to email you the blacks, but there's no actual cost involved. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's fantastic. I signed up because I want the patterns so
Yeah.
bad. And I do plan to make it. I was like, because I was talking to Rachel about it and
Yeah.
I was like, we gotta squeeze you in before you have that baby. She's like, sounds great.
I know, like any day now.
Yeah,
That
I
baby's
know. I'm like,
gone.
I keep checking. I'm like, are you alive? She's like, yep, still pregnant. Um, but anyway, I just love that they're all different, but yeah, they're all very fall themed and you can tell they all go together and each block individually would be such a cool quilt in and of itself. Like if you just
Yeah.
repeated it over and over or mixed a couple of them up, but they look so cool together. And
Yeah.
I'm so stoked that you guys are doing this because it's like, and I just loved the name of it, the sweater weather sampler, because I'm like, sweater weather. It's my
I
jam.
know,
So
right? It's totally like just puts you in a whole mood to like get ready to do it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, we're super excited to do it. And it's like I said, we've learned a lot from it and it's just been so much fun. I don't think any of us anticipated it getting as big as it got. There's like, I don't even know, like 2,300 people signed up for it or something.
Wow.
Which and like from all over the world. I mean, there's a huge group of quilters in Germany. There's a big group in
Wow.
France. There's Australian, Canadian. I know there's quilters from all over the place, but those are some of the bigger ones. And then obviously plenty in the United States. But like
Yeah.
it's been so cool to talk to all these quilters from all over the world and just like have
Yeah.
them all be excited to come together and just do this fun thing together.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That
it's
is
been really, really
amazing.
fun.
That's so cool. Um, yeah, and I think I had even asked Rachel if there's like if like people sign up in the middle of it, if they'll still be able to get
Yeah.
the back patterns. And she was like, I think so, but I'll make sure now. Like
Yeah, no, you totally can. As long as you
perfect.
sign up before the end of the, period, which I think it wraps up like the end of October or very early November.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, as long as you sign up sometime before then, you can download all of the patterns up to that point. Um,
Okay.
and join in at any point and post your block or your progress. There's all kinds of cool prizes. There's been so many shops that have come around us and offered just really great prizes and really
Yeah.
cool deals with like long arming and beautiful kits. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much fun energy around it. It's been really cool.
That's amazing. I know it's yeah, and like kind of window shopping the kits just because I'm like curious and I kind of think I was kind of planning to maybe make mine scrappy eventually, but I'm like, actually, maybe I want a kit. Like,
I
I
know,
want it
right?
to
Like
be
once you
like
start seeing them all, you're like, oh, those are so pretty.
the cohesion is so nice because then you're not scrambling to be like, does this go? I'm not sure. Like,
I
scrappy
know.
could be so cool, but I think,
I
and
know. And even like with us, like we decided that we would make one together with like a palette that we all decided on together. But then we decided we would each make our own version too, kind of more in our own palettes or whatever. And like as soon as I saw everybody else's palettes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I like that one too. And I like that one too. And like, we all had like
yeah,
palette envy
right?
looking at each other's quilts and now seeing all the ones out there that are popping up all the blacks. It's been so cool to just see like there are so many pretty ways to make this. So
Yeah, there's like no wrong way, really. I mean,
no, not at all. It thankfully it's a pattern or samplers in general probably, but this one for sure. Like it's just like you can pick a lot of different palettes and they all look really, really good. And it's
mhm,
on quilting too. So like if in doubt, you can mock it up and see exactly what it will look like. And
yeah,
there's been a ton, I've seen so many great mock-ups come out of quilting that just
yeah,
look awesome. I want to make them all. I won't,
yeah,
but I want
right.
to.
Yeah, it's like so tempting. You're like, oh, that's actually really pretty. I want to make that. Oh, I want to make that one too.
I
And you're
know,
like, wait,
right? Like just gonna like file them all away for future projects.
yeah. Like, how many times am I gonna make this quilt?
I know, right? I know.
That's a
But yeah,
tough
I'm
one.
thinking now, I'm like, well, maybe I could just make them all one more time and make them into like throw pillows or
Mm,
thing and
yeah,
something else. But
yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's a great thing about that size too, is like I mean, all the throw pillows on my couch and stuff that they're all 20 by 20 and
Yeah.
so that block size is great for that. And yeah, if you just want like some extra decor or if you want, like because if you're a nerd like me and have a display wall for your quilts in your living
Yes,
room,
they
you
would
know,
be
you
super cute minis and easy gifts and all that.
yeah. I'm glad that it's been so successful because I'm sure like planning stuff like that, you're like, I don't know.
I know, well, you put so much into it. And like, well, like right before we launched, we were like, okay, if nobody signs up for it, it will still be worth it because we like have loved this process together and just like,
Yeah.
we've built so many skills between us as far as like figuring out how to do it and just like and friendship and all of that. Like it felt worth it to us even before we launched it, but then it was so cool to see it take off too and be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And how cool is it to have all these people sewing with us and excited about it and that kind of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. I love that when like things just work out like that. And I think just from my own experience, like the more true you stay to yourself and the more like authentic you come at something, I think that's where people find connection. And so they're
mhm,
able to, engage with you more and they're more excited for you because it's like it feels genuine. And that's what people are looking for is like that genuine feeling of connection. And
totally. Yeah.
if they
Yeah,
can,
and that's what I love about this group of designers is like these are like genuinely my quilty besties, and we are all 100% in each other's corners and cheering each other on. And like there's nothing fake about it. This is like my
yeah,
actual friends. And I'm so excited
right.
to do something with them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm just jazzed for you guys. It's so fun. And so, yeah, if people haven't signed up yet, they still can. They've got
Yeah,
time and they
absolutely. You've
can
got time. You
get
can
in
sign up.
there.
You can get all kinds of free blocks to do whatever you want with.
Yeah,
So
so cool. And then I want to go back really quick to your socialite bundle. So it's called
yeah.
Rose Glow.
Yep,
Is
it's
that
called
correct?
Rose Glow and it's
Okay.
inspired by like the golden hour through the seasons. So it kind of has like there's like some kind of rusty colors and creams and some greens in there. So it's very much like a earthy boho feel. But yeah, it's really meant to have that like, and there's some pinks in there too. But yeah, it's meant to have that like golden hour feel
Yeah.
of like when the sun is coming through the leaves and the flowers and
Mhm.
through the windows in winter because there are no leaves
Yeah.
or flowers.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it's inspired by. I was looking at my feed before, like when I had the opportunity to create a bundle, I was looking at my feed and being like, I kind of unintentionally always use the same colors.
Hmm.
And so I just kind of wanted to stick with what I loved. And so like when I go on vacation and whatever, like so many of my photos are like sunset and right before sunset. And that's
Yeah.
like just such a beautiful time of day and
Hmm.
like peaceful. And it just feels like, I don't know,
Yeah.
just like a last like hurrah for the day. So I
Yeah.
just love that time anyways. So I was really excited to be able to just like pull all that into a bundle and have it. It's hard. I didn't know. It's hard to make a bundle that can like work in a lot of different quilts and
Yeah.
projects and all of that. And I was trying to be really intentional with it. Like I want this to work for big quilts and little quilts and everything
Yeah.
in between. So yeah, it was a lot. It was like I really thought hard about how to do it, but I loved how it turned out and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do it. It's so cool.
Yeah. What a fun adventure. And yeah, I'm sure like I can't imagine. I already stress out when I'm picking fabrics for a quilt. Like if it's not in a like come from straight from
Yeah,
a line, like I'm gonna just get every fabric from this line of, you know, this whatever
totally.
line it is. But so to like be able to pull different things and mix and match, I'm sure is just like, but it came together beautifully and it is. It
Thank
does feel
you.
like that golden hour kind of rosy glow that the world gets at that
Yeah.
time of day is really lovely. And so that's really cool. And
Yeah.
then the pattern that goes with it is that the soft
Yep,
focus
soft
pattern.
focus quilt. So if you have a rose glow bundle, or honestly any bundle of 16 fat quarters that is like curated,
Hmm.
you can make this. I have a soft focus quilt, and it's kind of meant to be, it's gradient, of course. Um, but it's meant to kind of look like like before you fully focus a camera, where it's
Hmm.
like the blur of colors together. That's
Yeah.
kind of was the inspiration for it. So it's a gradient from one corner to the opposite corner. And then it's got a couple stars in there, which are my favorite.
Yeah.
But it's free. And if you go to my website, you can totally sign up for my newsletter and then you'll get it delivered free to your inbox.
Perfect. And so for the listeners, what is your website?
So my website is www.abbymaed.com. and it's spelled Abbymade because it's a play on my middle name, which is May, Mae. So
Oh, that's perfect. I know when I saw it, I was like, I don't know if she meant to do that, or I was like,
did
it
she
has
just
to,
not know how to spell the
no.
word?
I mean, I always assume that there's meaning behind it, but like not knowing. But yeah, that makes so much sense. And that's so cute. Like, I love that so much.
Yeah, well, and that's my grandma's middle name too. And since she taught
Oh,
me how to sew and quilt, I was trying to like tie it all in. But
yeah. Oh, I love that. That's really cool that you were like, oh, I can just use my name.
I know, right? Yeah. So if you ever don't know where to find me, just look for Abby May. Duh.
Duh. That's perfect. So abbymade.com. And then if they sign up for your newsletter, they get that pattern for free
Mhm.
and it goes with your socialite bundle, but it can, yeah, like I can see how, if people had a different kind of, color gradient in mind, it could work for that. But
Yeah, totally. I've seen a bunch of them pop up now, and like I've seen rose glow ones, but I've also seen ones with other bundles, and they all just look really beautiful. So you can totally take it your own direction, and it'll work out.
yeah, that's awesome. Well,
Mhm.
gosh, thank you so much for being here today. And I'm so happy for all your success. And I'm so happy for the sweater weather sampler that it's
Thank you.
exploded and been doing so well. And yeah, hopefully more people sign up as they're
Yeah, and if
hearing about it.
fall quilts are your thing, I have a pattern coming out. It will be out by the time this airs. It's called
Okay.
Pumpkin Spice, and it's pumpkins and sunflowers together.
Oh,
So
cute.
so yeah, if fall quilts are your thing, like
You're
there's
there, girl.
more good fall things coming.
Awesome. Pumpkin spice. Ooh, that's cute. I love pumpkin, all the things. So
I know, me
I'm one of
too.
those basic
Fall is my
babes that,
favorite.
yeah.
So doing all the fall things this year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how fun. Okay, so we'll look for that. And do you have anything else coming up this year, or is that kind of your final release?
I'll have like one more pattern release in probably in November with like I've got it in the works. I don't have a name yet for it, so I'll have to keep you posted on that. But then the other thing I have coming out this fall is a cute little jack-o'-lantern tote. It's called the Peter Pumpkin tote.
Oh my
And it's my
gosh.
first time doing a bag pattern, but it's just a super cute, like, like those plastic pumpkins that are
Hmm.
kind of quintessential trick or treat.
Yeah.
Um, a few years ago, like we had those, but like they had these plastic handles and they hurt my kids' hands. And so I was like, you know what? I bet I could just make one out of fabric and it would be cuter and like wouldn't hurt their hands. And so I did. And then I just like hadn't gotten around yet to creating the pattern, but this is the year we're doing all the fall things. So,
Yeah.
so I have a pattern coming out. My testers are working on it now. And yeah, it'll probably release right around the same time or the same day as Pumpkin Spice, which is September 27th. So I'm sure it'll be out by the time that
Okay.
this airs.
Perfect. So people can whip them up really fast before they go
Yeah, it's so
trick-or-treating.
fast. Like I did one in an evening and it's super quick,
Nice.
but adorable. So yeah, for all your
Cute.
little
How
trick-or-treaters.
fun. Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, we'll keep our eyes out for those and for your unnamed later
Yeah, winter
release.
pattern coming
Winter.
soon.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks again so much. And hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take care.
You too.